Yes, and we're live once again here at the Reentry Connect podcast. Yes, Transformation Games with Ms. Leslie Robinson. Yes, y'all may wonder, who is she? What is her story? But let's believe that she is one of the top therapists in the world. But just because she's a therapist, that does not mean that we just brush her away. Oh, we don't want to listen to what she has to say. No, because she has a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding, and a lot of experience with different things concerning the reentry field, especially a lot of the gaming systems and a lot of the strategies that help people with their lives, that help people come together again, that helps people engage and reform their lives out here in society. So without further ado, I just wanted to give her a little shout out. Before we continue, I got to give my little shout out to Old Dad One Day at a Time, Mr. Mel Wells. We appreciate you. Old Dad, who that? Old Dad 215-226-7860. Yes, a powerful influence here in the city of Philadelphia. Reentry support. We have different types of recovery support. Feel free to reach out to them. GPStransportation.net. Reach out to them as well. They're the best transportation port here in the city of Philadelphia, Tri-State, Jersey, New York, Delaware, everywhere. And just feel free to reach out to them. Luxury, wheelchair, private transportation. But without further ado, I got to get back to the show because we have a very special guest here, Ms. Leslie Robinson. Ms. Leslie Robinson, we appreciate having you, and we want you to share who you are and what you represent.
Oh, Keenan, thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so very much for giving me this platform, this opportunity to speak to everybody out there who's listening. I have a lot of compassion for trauma, having gone through a lot of my own, and that's really the way that I come into all this work. I've been a therapist for 40 something years, and for 30 years, I worked in homeless shelters with homeless schizophrenic population and runaway youth and residences for homeless young adults, and 20 years consultant for foster care and failing inner city schools, and on and on. And through all these experiences, I started creating games because nobody had a way to talk about things that were very deep, that they needed to process, that they needed to talk about, that they needed to connect with other people on so they could move forward on with their lives, because we get stuck in certain things. And unless we have social support, we can get completely stuck and go completely the wrong way. So I took it to heart that this was my legacy to leave in the world, to create these games. So I have 10 right now. And I'm going to start by just showing you my Recharge Reentry game. There's a number of different versions. There's 3 different versions.
Gotcha. So quick question, Ms. Leslie,
Yes.
before you continue with the games. So when you say you were in the field for over 20 years and you had been a therapist for over 40, now what drew you to want to help individuals that were either incarcerated or returning to society in general?
So what drew me into the prison space is different from what drew me into this work, that I just mentioned overall, which is coming from having tremendous amount of my own trauma. I don't know that it was really a decision. I really follow my instincts, and my whole journey has been about trying to heal, which I have to work on every day, all day still. I'm in 100% better shape than I was years ago, but my 20s and 30s were incredibly emotionally chaotic. And I was in therapy for 30 years and always struggling, but able to stay on top of it, like able to function with doing a ton of work and able to give with doing a ton of work. So working with other people's trauma was always very healing for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, before I cut you off, I'm sorry, abruptly.
No, not at all.
So now you say you were getting into the games. So what you're about to get into, what you're about to explain, what you're about to present. Now, you're saying now this is a game that's actually designed to help individuals that are either returned to society and the families as well, correct?
So this one that I'm going to show, I
Mm-hmm.
created during the pandemic when visitation stopped and
Okay.
people couldn't meet with their families. And so this was used to have really quality connection and conversation while incarcerated during the pandemic. So the link to this game, which you're going to see in a minute, people could click on it and come up. It was licensed by NCIC Inmate. I hate that word, but that's the name of their organization, Communications. And they offered it for free up to 15 minutes in 150 prisons. So it was used almost 90,000 times just last year. And that's when we started taking score of how many people were using it. So that's super exciting. But before that, I have a physical card deck game called Recharge Beyond the Bars as well. This is in over 400 prisons and is evidence informed and is bringing healing. I have tons of testimonials on the website and videos, rechargethegame.com.
Nice.
The name of that. And so anybody can, I'm a therapist, but I create all my games so any mature person can use them, facilitate them. You don't need a therapist to use them. And I do that on purpose because most people don't go to therapy, are not really interested in that modality. And I do that on purpose. Allow you to go very deep with people in your life to your comfort level, though, and have incredibly healing conversations with no therapist.
Gotcha. Totally understandable. So now, is this what you're going to be presenting on the screen now?
Yeah, so this is the virtual version. And I'd love to show a short testimonial of somebody who uses it and somebody I'm working with now. We don't have time to get into it, but we're working on creating a whole movement called the HEAL Movement, Hope, Empowerment, and Love, for people to facilitate, formerly incarcerated people to facilitate all over the United States. And he's heading that up. His name is Carl Robinson. You'll hear his testimonial. And at some point, I'll tell you more about that, Keenan. But let's stick to the games now. So, yeah.
No problem. Feel free.
So we'll play this.
Hi, my name is Carl Robinson. And while I might not look like what I've been through, I've been exactly where you are. I know the isolation, I know the pain, I know the separation that incarceration puts upon the mind, the heart, and the soul of an individual. And I also know that the communication that we develop following that separation, meaning when we come home, when you come home, it's going to be a difficult challenge. Trying to catch up for lost time and lost years and process thoughts and process activities and process history. Because our timelines have changed so much from the ones that we love, our environment and our community. But this tool, this reentry tool, Recharge Beyond the Bars, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to develop that communication with your friends, develop that communication with your loved ones. How? By asking the right questions. Questions that you can laugh about, questions that you might cry about, questions that you can get to know each other.
So I'm just going to quickly show a little bit of the game. You know, I think we all know how essential it is to have communication to quiet that isolation, that chaos, that fear, anxiety, that having quality conversations are incredibly powerful in that whole process. And sometimes that can be incredibly difficult, especially if there's been a lot of time apart or there's a lot of conflicts. So there's 4 different categories. We don't have a lot of time to just go real fast. So the first one is usually a fun interaction. The next one is just a question about life everybody engages in. The next one is always a question about incarceration that you'll ask your friend, family who's experienced incarceration so you can understand them better. And the final one is questions about family and friends that you can just really dig into. What do you need to feel supported and cared for by people in your life? People might not even know that. So there's 60 cards with all different content. And so this just gives everybody the opportunity to have great conversations, laugh, cry, get really close. And I'm going to end it now, but I just wanted you to get a sense of how
Wow.
very heart-centered and,
Wow.
um, you know,
Yeah. And
you know,
that's excellent. You actually have some comments here. Miss Darlene are saying, she said, "Wow, amen. That's absolutely needed." She's a great influencer here in the city of Philadelphia. There's a lot of politicians and things like that as well. She also says, "Wow, this is really good." So what you showed and demonstrated on that screen, is actually having a little impact on people right now as
thank
they're
you.
viewing this. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's very proud.
Well, I want to let you know it's now an app in the app stores for $4.99, and I'll be giving out my contact information. I can bring the price down for anybody who
Okay.
needs it, but you can
Yeah.
download it for $4.99. If you go to rechargegame.com, you'll see on the upper left corner to click on
Mhm.
it to be able to access that. I also give out a free facilitation guide, which you can contact me if you want to run groups. And so it's a 7-page guide that I can just email to you for you to use to run groups with for
Mhm.
free.
Nice, nice. So Ms. Leslie, if you could touch on now, are you traveling the world to do this as well? Like, are you going into the institutions to demonstrate your gaming systems, and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
many gaming systems are you actually operating at the present moment?
I have 10 and I have 2 in process. Can everyone see me now, or are they only seeing
They
the
can actually, everybody sees you. We see
they
you.
see me? Okay.
Yeah, we
I'm
see
just
you.
gonna show you quickly just a few. This is
Okay.
remembrance, and this is for grief and loss support. So you sit with your friends and family and you're able to answer all kinds of questions around grief. That's a
Mhm.
they're all very gentle ways in, and you speak to your comfort level.
Okay.
And so people who usually won't express themselves start opening up because it's
Nice.
just it creates that kind of a space that people
Mhm.
start caring about each other and aren't judging
Okay.
each other.
Next one.
Also, I'm happy to send these out just for shipping. This is for long sentences. So this is the version, the physical version for long sentences. So there's no questions about going back home. The other ones have a lot about going back home to process, but this one is just to find more peace if you have a long sentence. So please reach out to me if you just want me to send you one of these. I'd be happy to do
Now
that.
let me ask you before you continue on the one you just showed.
Yeah.
You said that was geared for people that had long sentences.
Yes.
Now, my question with that is because I know a lot of viewers are thinking, especially being from that environment and predicament, um, even though a person has a long sentence, right? Most times, a person will rather, in a way, be encouraged that they will come home one day
Mm-hmm.
versus I'm not coming home one day, so I got to just put up what I have. So now, as far as that game in particular,
Yeah.
does it just wants to settle somebody's peace with the reality that they're in, or does it give people a hope for a future getting from beyond the bars?
Yeah, I mean, it gives people hope in the sense that it helps them to process their emotions and their experiences, connect deeply with other people that they're with. And that's an interesting perspective because when I developed it, I thought it would be too painful to ask them about, things about going back home. So I took
Mm,
those out and I put in different questions because that was just something that I thought. So I'll have to rethink that.
wow, powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So you going to your next game? I'm sorry.
No, no problem at all. I have Keep It
Okay.
Real. This is for family, friends. It's in over 1,000 colleges, hundreds of high schools, recovery high schools, and it's all about life. A mixture. Everything's a mixture of very deep and fun.
Nice.
So it's fabulous in inner city schools. It really helps young people be able to talk about all kind of stuff and get close to each other and learn to
Mm,
express themselves and find courage because
mm-hmm.
everybody's trying to be so cool and social media is so crazy and there's so many problems now with people feeling comfortable being who they are. So something people often say is that I found out people like me just as much for who I really am as for who I think I'm supposed to be because it helps people really speak from and talk about all kind of things like how do you handle rejection. Everybody answers the same question around the circle. How important is it to you what other people think of you? Just
Mm-hmm.
all kind of stuff that when people start getting real, it really helps relieve a lot of anxiety because
Mm-hmm.
there's everybody's trying to pretend on social media everybody's perfect and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
so it's
true.
beautiful.
Powerful. You have a comment here where Lisa Mills says, she says, like the platform y'all been creating for, I have a family member that will soon come home, and I will be sharing these with them, and that's great. That's great. So that's really saying that
Wonderful.
they agree with what you have going on there. It's definitely good because I always encourage people that are returning to society, or rather they're recovering or getting themselves together, that just because a person comes from a different background or has a different perspective, that does not mean that you cannot learn from them. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, you've been a therapist for many years. So there's a lot of ups and downs that you may have been through. There's a lot of different types of people you've maybe dealt with. And I believe that anybody can learn from anything, anyone, at any time. So we have to be open minded to these type of talks, be open minded to different types of peoples, doctors, lawyers, different perspectives, because we all don't know everything. And I believe that we all can help one. We all can teach one. We can all learn. We can learn from a dummy, and that's just, reality. And I'm sorry, here Ms. Darlene says rethinking the long term would change some mindsets from negative to positive. Absolutely. What you think about that, Miss Leslie?
Yeah, I mean, I have a number of testimonials, especially with young men, that they feel if they had had the game
Mm-hmm.
previously, they wouldn't be there, because it really helps them to think through stuff and to have brotherhood with each other. Women, what I hear often from them is it had me laughing and crying in heels without even knowing it. It is
Wow.
a very common thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's evidence informed. So we did a year of research at Camden County Jail, and fabulous results. People don't pay attention to the importance of people being able to connect and speak and be themselves and laugh and
Mm-hmm.
have human quality human connection and conversation. For some
Mm-hmm.
reason, in the mix of what is incredibly essential, absolutely, and
Mm-hmm.
housing and jobs and everything. This is just as essential, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you don't have a relationship or you don't feel connected to anybody or cared about by anybody, you're not
Mm-hmm.
really going to care that much. I don't think.
And that's true. And that's totally true. And I believe that a lot of, especially the transformation games that you have, can really play a relevant part prior to return to society as well, because it's prepping you mentally, it's prepping you, spiritually, the way you may look at things, can predict like certain outcomes in which you may have viewed things before. So now you're prepping yourself, and then I'm quite sure, like you said, when some of your games are prepared for family members. So when family members do our home, like Lisa Mills just mentioned, she may have some of those games prepared, just in case they want to engage and just enlighten each other, just to see what we're facing, because most times, and because a lot of times when they do come home, I'm just going to be honest with you, a lot of individuals are not going to be focused on games,
Yeah, of course.
right? So that's why it's good, like you said, it's good to have it inside before coming home, because when you come home, you're facing reality. You're facing, hey, bills have to be paid. You got children. You trying to focus on what's going on around you. So it's like, but like you said, if they were able to refurbish the mind inside with it, it could be a lot easier when they do transition to get involved with them games again, even with family members. And maybe, like I say, you could probably even share it with the kids as well. It
Yeah,
could probably go a
absolutely.
number of ways, because how many people have trouble coming home, adapting, and understanding their children? They've been away for so many years, and children then outgrew them. Children looking at them like they're a stranger. But how do you deal with or cope with those things mentally? You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely a great thing, and I encourage you and implore you to definitely introduce that to a lot of these, even recovery houses, halfway houses, and even in some of these programmings that they have in some of these school systems as well. You know what I mean? Like far as with, excuse me, the school system inside. That's a good thing. You know what I mean?
You'll have
So
to let me know more about that. I'm not even familiar with that.
yeah, absolutely. We know we'll definitely touch more on that, and yeah, it's very powerful. So let me ask, so if a person wanted therapy sessions with you just in general, because I know you are a professional therapist, you have experience, and if a person wanted to contact you for um, private sessions, how will they do so? How do they contact you?
Well, for anything that I'm talking about, they can contact me at Leslie, Leslie,
Okay.
at recharge, recharge, thegame.com.
Mhm.
So that's,
Okay.
yeah.
The same one right here.
I don't see it because all I see is the game.
Oh, you got the wrong. Okay, so we got the wrong one. Okay. Are you on? Can you see now?
Let me see if I can. No, I just have the game in front of me.
Okay, you might. So what you might have to do is exit out of the sharing screen. If you have the game, just exit out of it.
I don't know how to do that. Maybe if
Okay.
let's see. No, it didn't let me. Mm-mm.
Okay. But yeah, I
I
can
don't know
see
how to get back to you.
yeah, I can see you just clearly though.
Oh,
You're
good.
definitely right
Good.
here. Um, yeah, so I have right here, it says Leslie at rechargethegame.com.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm quite sure they can reach out to you in that way, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
Now,
with any questions. Yeah.
as far as your social medias and things of that concern, can people reach out or follow you any type of place, or how would that go about?
Yeah, I'm just actually really getting that set up.
Okay.
Like a million people are using my games with word of mouth and conferences, and I'm just starting to set up a whole marketing thing for the first time. So
Mm-hmm.
right now,
Okay.
at Transformation Games, but
That's
there's
good.
very little up there.
No problem. No problem. That's absolutely great. So, Miss Leslie, I want to ask if there was any type of motivation that you can give an individual right now that's incarcerated, that's in a recovery house, just in general, any type of motivational, uplifting quote, speech, or whatever affirmation that you could give them, what would it be?
Well, I think it would be that, to honor yourself at all times. Other people often will not understand what you're going through and what you've been through and might not care. And people have all these ideas in their own head. That's very painful. I mean, even for people who have very strong self esteem, it's still painful. So I
Mhm.
would say, just really take time to really honor that you're still here and that you're moving forward and that you're doing what you can with where you've been, with what you haven't been given, because I know
Mhm.
there are a lot of people on here who have been through a lot of really, really hard stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I was suicidal for many years and I had really good help, fortunately. Um,
Mhm.
I worked full time all through all my education while going to school full time. I put myself through. It was really hard without, anybody caring about me, without any backup. And that's really painful. So, especially if you're doing all that and you're not honoring yourself and you're not loving yourself through it to the best of your ability, because, you can get caught up in what other people are thinking or that you're supposed to be further or this, that, or the other thing. Right.
Mhm.
Um, just,
Mhm.
yeah, just, show people who you are, be who you are,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Absolutely. We really appreciate that. Like I said, I believe that in any of the interviews that I do here on the Reentry Connect podcast, people are always benefiting, and they're really grasping hold of the knowledge and the things that's being poured out. That's why I always share that, because I've always getting feedback from every interview where people say, "Wow, that was very powerful. Hey, what that person had going on, what they shared really touched my life." And that's what this is all about. It's about helping others, giving people the resources, letting people know, hey, this is out here, it's available. Had you not shared what you shared, many people, have been like, oh, I never knew about that. So I really do appreciate having you here
Thank
on
you.
this podcast, Ms. Leslie. It's really powerful. And real quick, I know right here, I know you're supposed to talk about this flyer here. If you can explain a little bit of this, I know that we were supposed to do it briefly earlier.
Sure.
Share just a little
Well, I
bit.
can't see it, but I can speak on it. That
Oh, yeah,
just
sure.
really describes the heart. They're really heart centered. They're to get us out of our intellectual heads and get us into our hearts with each other. The heart's much more powerful than the brain, actually, even physically. And for us to care more and love each other more, and then it explains,
Yeah.
a lot of what I've been saying.
Help us to feel, deal, and heal. Wow. Now, was that a mantra you created?
No, that was a quote.
It's a quote. Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful, powerful. It says this game is a blessing. That says to us, it helps us to grow with and because of one another. It's small letter, but that's all right. But that's very great, very great. People are still commenting. You got Miss Darlene. She says, yes, the show is amazing. Appreciate it. You got Jessica Zeno. She says, amen. Yes, indeed. Yeah, you got a lot of good feedback here.
Oh, thank you all.
Really
thank you all.
Appreciate you. Yes, indeed. But without further ado, I'm here at the Reentry Connect podcast. It's your host, Keenan Hudson. Yes, with Trance4mation Games with Miss Leslie Robinson.
Please reach out if anybody wants to talk about anything.
Reach out. Yes, indeed.
Sorry,
reach
Keenan.
out. Go ahead. Tell them to reach out. Any card games, therapy sessions. If you need, what else? Ms. Leslie? What am I missing?
Read facilitation guide, long sentence version for free.
Anything right there at Leslie at rechargethegame.com. Yeah, she has a lot more coming, getting her social medias together. So best believe she's going to be reaching back out, to extend more of the information, how to contact her. We really do appreciate this day. But without further ado, I got to get ready to end this podcast. But yes, without further ado, one day at a time, shout out to Mr. Mel Wells. We appreciate you. Salute here in the city of Philadelphia. Yes, he has a powerful reentry sector and reentry help, recovery help, and all the above. Again, GPStransportation.net. Appreciate you as well. Yes, best transport in the whole city, whole tri-state, New York, Jersey, anywhere you want to go in the world, they'll take you. But until next time, really do appreciate this day. But Ms. Leslie, we'd like to say goodbye to the people. Thank you so much.
Blessings.